There is a moment in every healing journey that no one talks about. It happens after the breakthroughs, after the crying, after the deep inner work. You wake up one day and realize you are not the same person anymore. Not better, not fixed, just different. Healing does not turn you into someone new. It reveals who you were before survival became your personality. For most of your life, you learned how to adapt. You learned how to stay small to keep peace, how to overgive to feel loved, how to anticipate others' needs before your own, how to silence your intuition just to belong. Those behaviors were never flaws. They were protection. Your nervous system built an identity around staying safe. But healing changes safety itself. And when safety changes, identity changes. After healing, you stop chasing approval. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to people who misunderstand you. You become quieter, but more powerful. You listen more deeply, not to others' expectations, but to your own inner knowing. You begin choosing peace over familiarity. And this is where many people become confused, because healing does not always feel euphoric. Sometimes healing feels like loss. You may outgrow conversations that once felt normal, relationships that once felt necessary, environments that once felt like home. You don't reject people. You simply stop abandoning yourself. And when that happens, your energy changes. You no longer chase connection. You attract alignment. You no longer tolerate emotional chaos. You recognize it immediately. You stop trying to earn love because you finally understand. Love was never something you had to perform for. After healing, boundaries stop feeling like rejection. They begin to feel like self-respect. You learn that saying no is sometimes the deepest form of self-trust. You become less reactive, not because life stops being hard, but because your nervous system no longer lives in survival mode. Triggers become teachers instead of threats. Silence becomes comforting instead of lonely. Rest no longer feels like failure. You begin to experience something unfamiliar, internal safety. And with safety comes clarity. You start seeing patterns you once ignored. You recognize dynamics you once normalized. You notice how often you used to shrink yourself just to keep connection alive. Healing gives you vision. But here is the part nobody prepares you for. When you heal, some people will say you've changed, and they are right. Because the version of you they knew was built around self-abandonment. Your growth may challenge people who benefited from your wounds. Not everyone will recognize the healed version of you. But the right people will feel relieved by it, because healed energy does not demand, it does not chase, it does not perform, it simply exists. Calm, grounded, authentic. After healing, you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start asking, "Does this align with who I am becoming?" You become more selective with your time, your energy, your attention, not from ego, but from awareness. You finally understand that your life force is sacred. And perhaps the most surprising transformation is this: you stop trying to heal endlessly. Healing is no longer your identity. Living becomes your identity. You laugh more freely. You feel emotions without fear. You allow joy without waiting for something to go wrong. You trust yourself, not because life becomes certain, but because you become steady within uncertainty. You realize healing was never about perfection. It was about coming home to yourself. The healed version of you is not flawless. They still feel. They still learn. They still grow. But they no longer abandon themselves in the process. So if you feel different, if old versions of your life no longer fit, if you sense both peace and grief at the same time, you are not lost. You are meeting yourself. And who you become after healing is not someone new. It is someone true. Pause. Take a breath. Notice who you are becoming. and honor how far you have come. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and continue the journey, because healing is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your real life. Thank you again for listening, and remember, you are loved.